Welcome back. Let's take it to Abuja now, where Linda Akibe is standing by with more on the news at 10. Hi, Linda.
Hello, Amarachi. The Bring Back Our Girls group is demanding an explanation on how the Sambisa forest was cleared without an account of the whereabouts of the Chibok girls who were said to have been kept there. The chairman of the Chibok community in Abuja, Mr. Sambido Hosea, who spoke to Channels Television in Abuja, wondered why the military finally captured the territory without securing any of the girls. The group, however, commended the government for the rescue of Rekia Gali and her infant child as it marked the 998th day of the Chibok girls in captivity.
We want nothing but the truth. The problem we are facing is government coming out to say that they have overcome Sambisa and all cell in the Sambisa has been taken. We are not comfortable with that one. Had it been they come out and tell us that we have entered Sambisa and we have cleared some cell, we will be happy with that one. Then we will say, okay, we know that now there are some cell remaining, our girls must be there. But now they say that they clear all cell and we have not seen our girls. And we have not seen what the girls told us. The wall that we have built in the Sambisa, we have not seen wreckage of the wall. We have not seen where they pursue people away in the settlement. And they are telling us that they have cleared Sambisa. Are they trying to close the issue?
A federal high court sitting in Lagos has ordered the temporary forfeiture of a sum of $153 million, which was allegedly siphoned by a former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Mrs. Diezani Alison Madueke, from the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and stashed in 3 banks in the country. After ordering the temporary forfeiture of the monies to the federal government, Justice Muslim Hassan gave any interested parties 14 days to appear before him to prove the legitimacy of the money, failing which the funds would be permanently forfeited to the federal government. The judge made the order in favor of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, which appeared before him today with an ex parte application seeking the temporary forfeiture of the funds. And now to issues affecting the Niger Delta. A high court in London will determine in a matter of weeks whether Royal Dutch Shell can face trial in the United Kingdom over allegations of oil spill in Nigeria. According to Reuters, the court will decide whether members of the Bile and Ogale communities in Rivers State can sue Shell in British courts. This follows the claim by the law firm representing the communities that Nigerian courts are not robust enough to handle the matter in a reasonable time. The Anglo-Dutch company insists that the case should be heard in Nigeria as the matter is a Nigerian problem. Meanwhile, Shell has denied responsibility for the spills, attributing it to sabotage and illegal refining by people in the communities. The case is said to have been filed shortly after Shell admitted responsibility for 2 pipeline leaks in 2008 and agreed to pay the Bodo community, also in Rivers State, the sum of £55 million. Meanwhile, Niger Delta leaders have condemned what they describe as a delay by the federal government to dialogue with them on issues concerning the region. Members of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum say they are hurt by an alleged claim that the presidency is still in search of credible leaders of the region for dialogue.
The Niger Delta has leaders who can cope with any situation, like any other leader in other places. Whether Feniferis, whether ACF, whether Ohanese, we are a region. We come together. So we are appealing to Mr. President that we have been waiting. We cannot continue to wait. If he's not prepared to dialogue, let us know. We are not begging anybody. We want peace in our region. We do not want a repetition of the military operation in the northeast. That's why we came in. And our youth, they call them militants, have agreed. Our daddies go and negotiate for us.
And away from the Niger Delta, over 10,000 households are currently benefiting from the first phase of the federal government's national 5,000 naira cash transfer program in Kwara State, north-central Nigeria. 12 local government areas are participating in the first phase, while the remaining 4 will be considered for the next batch. Same is being enjoyed by residents of Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, southwest Nigeria. The money for poor families is part of the government's social intervention program.
A promise made, a promise kept seems to be the message of the Buhari administration as it begins disbursement of cash stipends to poor members of society. In Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, citizens speak on the need to identify the targeted beneficiaries of the program.
I want to appeal to government to ensure that it is well implemented, that the right target gets the amount of money that's been earmarked, or else the money will go into the wrong hands.
In Kwara State, one of the first states selected to benefit from the scheme, the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Youth and Sports says over 10,000 people are already receiving money from the exercise.
10,800 households have been identified across 12 local governments. The remaining 4 will join them this year because as at the time the data was being compiled, it first of all started with 6 local governments, then another 6. So the remaining 4 have been concluded, but undergoing processing.
Meanwhile, the head of unit, Cash Transfer, Kwara State Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, says it will help the federal government tackle poverty in the country.
The money is not just to enrich them, but to improve the quality of their life. So what we intend to do later is to form these people into cooperative groups. So in this cooperative group, at the end of the day, they may also have access to collecting loans from the bank. All we will be doing is just to monitor and ensure that they are doing the right thing.
With the disbursement underway, the scheme is hoped to reach as many beneficiaries as possible in all the states of the Federation.
And that's all from Abuja. Now to you, Imana, for business news.
Hello and welcome to Business News. The street foreign exchange transaction, otherwise known as black market, has been described as illegal, small, and the rates untenable. This is according to a forex trader with Rand Merchant Bank, Mr. Ayodeji Oyeniyi. Speaking with Channels Television on Friday, Mr. Oyeniyi says the black FX market should not even be recognized. And the chief executive of Nigeria's Sovereign Investment Authority, Mr. Uche Orji, has announced plans by the Sovereign Wealth Fund to set up a company to enable pension funds to invest in Nigerian infrastructure bonds. Mr. Orji says this is to help overcome some of the challenges facing the financing of infrastructure projects in Africa's most populous nation. The NSIA boss also explains that the company will provide enhancements for infrastructure bonds, which is expected to make an effective platform for Nigerian pension funds to invest. The new business will be done in partnership with London-based local currency guarantee firm Garantco and will be launched in a few weeks' time. And it's the first positive close in the new year for stocks at the local equities markets today, after a brief trading week. This follows the extension of the New Year's Day celebrations on Monday. For more on today's closing figures, let's join Bisi Adebayo.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Markets Report.
After 3 consecutive sessions of negative performance, Nigeria's stock market recovered some ground on Friday as the all-share index closed north 0.15%, while total market value rose by 20 billion naira to close the week at 9.03 trillion naira. Today's transaction recorded a slightly higher volume against Thursday's session, with 210.2 million shares sold for 1.51 billion naira in 2,659 deals. The major contributors to that turnover were Owando, FCMB and Zenith Bank, which sold 51.13 million shares. United Capital was the leader among 13 gainers with a 4.86% increase, followed by FCMB and Owando. On the losers category, Mobil, Cadbury and NEM Insurance lost 5% each from their share prices to claim the top 3 spots ahead of 13 other losers. And that ends the stock market reports. I am BC Adebayo.
In the meantime, U.S. stocks opened flat as markets digest the employment situation report, the last for President Obama's administration. With more detail is VOA Channels TV business correspondent Joe Malandrino from the Nasdaq market site in New York.
Good evening from our news studio at the Nasdaq market site. As you can see behind me, we are overlooking the heart of New York City, Times Square. Let's check out what the markets are doing in the first hour of trade. U.S. stocks are relatively flat as the markets digest the employment data that we received this morning. It came in relatively in line. This was a last set of data relating to jobs that President Obama and his administration will get. It's been quite an improvement for job growth since he took office in 2009. His administration has created 11 million jobs, bringing down the employment rate to 4.6% from the low of 10% in October 2009. So we've seen quite a bit of improvement as the employment levels start to normalize. Now, the reason why this data is so important is it gives the most comprehensive report on how many people are looking for jobs, how many have them, what they're getting paid, how many hours they are working. So it really is the best way to gauge the current state as well as the future direction of the economy. The next question is, following the inauguration on January 20th with President-elect Trump, what's the next catalyst for markets? The S&P has had a pretty good start to 2017. We're adding to those gains of 2016, which was about 12% for the year. So the focus is going to turn to fourth quarter earnings and whether the bar has been set too high for the quarter or more likely for 2017 outlook. Now, we won't be looking too much in terms of what they're saying for guidance moving beyond the fourth quarter because we will have to see how some of President-elect Trump's policies do play out. Will we see more deregulation? Will we get more favorable tax treatment? Those are going to be the key questions that traders will be asking for. From the Nasdaq market site in Times Square, I'm Jill Malandrino, and this is VOA Channels TV.
And European stocks closed lower on the last trading day of the first week of 2017 after the release of the December U.S. non-farm payrolls. Meanwhile, Asian markets finished with mixed numbers following U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's hefty tax threat to Toyota and a higher yen currency. That's it on Business News Tonight. I'm Imana Amawe. The news at 10 continues.